In this Blender tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set the origin of objects. The origin is this little orange dot. This is the center of the object. Here you can see the origin of the cube is at the origin of the actual scene, but it doesn't have to be. It could be plenty of different places. For example, if I tab into edit mode of this cube and then move the cube down, then I tab back into object mode, notice that the origin stayed at its own place. That's because when we edit in edit mode, it doesn't change where the origin is. It changes where the geometry is. This can be very convenient, but also can be frustrating, because now, with the origin still located in the middle of the scene, if I press R then Y, notice that the cube now rotates around the origin, which is not in the center of the cube. If I bring in a new cube, and I press R, Y, notice that the cube rotates in the center of the cube. Both can be very desirable depending on what you need to do. We can move and set the origin to many different places. For example, I have this 3D duck, but the origin is up in space, which is how can I set the origin to be in the middle? Because now if I rotate this duck, it rotates around this empty space. I really want to rotate around the center here, which is the way to do that is to go to Object, Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. Generally, this will be in the center of the origin or the bounding box. Now, if I rotate, it should stay in the middle. But this also is not exactly where the center of the duck is. So there are other options. I can go Object, Set Origin, Origin to Center of Mass Volume. Now, it's in what Blender calculates is the center of mass of this object. Note this only works if you have a closed manifold mesh, meaning that there's no holes in it, and all the normals have to be facing the same direction. Which is now if I rotate this duck, it rotates around that section. Which is go into edit mode, look to the side, and we can see the origin here. If I press A and then I move the duck to where I want by pressing G, I can move the origin there, or if I need the origin to be around the duck's head, I can place it right in the middle of the head, then look to the side, and as we can see, the origin is right here. Now if I press G, X to move the duck over, then I tab back into object mode. Now the duck will rotate around the duck head, which can be super fun. Setting the origin to different places is super important for when you need to rotate an object specifically to create a sculpture or any other 3D model. For example, here, this original cube still has the origin in the center. If I tab into edit mode, select 1 for vertex select, and I select this pin right here, I can press Shift S and I can say cursor to selected. Now the 3D cursor is here. I can tab back out to object mode, select object, set origin, origin to 3D cursor. Now it doesn't matter where the 3D cursor is. In fact, I can click and move the 3D cursor with that. And now the origin is on the corner. If I look from the side, I can press R, and now this cube rotates around the corner. This can be very convenient for aligning and snapping and creating objects. For example, if I press Shift D to duplicate that cube, then press R, I can rotate that cube right from there and create interesting patterns because the origin is set right at the same point on the corner, and that's where it rotates from. This is also where it will scale from if I press S. So make sure you pay attention to where the origin is because your models in Blender will be affected by that origin. A simple way to get the origin back to where you want in the middle of the bounding box is to select your objects, go to Object, Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. That'll get you started, and then you can set specific origins when you need to. Happy 3D modeling!